What's up, guys? Your boys, 20K13. I'm going to talk about 10 things we learned from WWE Payback. WWE Payback is less than 24 hours old, but they're already a distant impression that the company could have saved themselves a lot of hassle by simply bypassing the event altogether and looking forward to Eliminating Chamber. Nonetheless, what looked on paper to be a relatively humdrum card actually came together pretty nicely, and even the matches fans consider as filler worked out well. The longest match on the card was the one most predicted to last a lengthy duration, John Cena vs. Rusev, in an I-Quit encounter with just a few minutes short of half an hour, with the main event fatal forward for the WWE World Heavyweight title also going in excess of 20 minutes. Of course, the WWE Divas were allowed the shortest time on the main card, only going a little over 6 minutes, but that was nothing compared to the short 2-minute collision between The Ascension and Curtis Axel and Macho Man on the kickoff show. Going forward, it's not difficult to see that WWE are putting a lot of faith behind the likes of Bray Wyatt, Rusev, Sheamus, and all three former members of the Shield. But what are some of the other things fans could take from Payback? Number 10. Stardust is on the road to Shabberville. When Cody Rhodes started painting his face and appearing as Stardust in June 2014, it really seemed like a fresh start for the man. After all, his older brother, Dustin, had found significant success under the paint as Goldust. And with talk of him hanging up his boots shortly, why couldn't Cody replace him under this mysterious new guise? Sadly, fast forward less than a year and the Stardust character is already looking tired. After the event of Payback, it seems the persona is really on its last leg. Losing to R-Truth cleanly in the very first match of the pre-show pay-per-view kickoff show highlights how far Rhodes has fallen down the WWE ladder. Remember when he was tearing it up alongside his brother as the WWE Tag Team Champions? That seemed like a distant memory, and there's every chance that the Stardust Mafia will be dead sooner rather than later. Even the announcer at ringside talk about Cody Rhodes, the man weighed more than they have since Stardust first showed up, which could signify that the character is about to go into storage. Number 9. The New Day could be special. Initially working as babyfaces, the New Day tanked in the role of smiling, happy-go-lucky good guy. This isn't the 1980s when fans were more forgiving about that kind of thing. This is 2015, years after Steve Austin revolutionized what being a babyface meant in pro wrestling. As faces, the New Day was dying a death out there in front of fans. People just couldn't get behind them. Thankfully, this is something WWE have recognized, and Big E, Kofi Kingston, and Xavier Woods have shown themselves to be 100% more effective on the heel side of the alignment divide. It's fair to say that the group positively given into the character of Bo Dallas pretty badly, but it's hard to deny that it's entertaining in the process. During their promos at Payback, whether in front of the live audience or backstage, the New Day eluded personality. They have bags of the stuff. If WWE could play their cards right, the fabulous Freebird tag gimmick, during which all three members feel they hold the title, could be gold. Wrestling television moves quickly, which may be the only thing holding the fashion back, but they have serious potential. Number 8. WWE will always find the distinct face funny. Ever since Rikishi was tearing it up as a valuable part of the WWE roster, the promotion has found the thought of one wrestler rubbing his behind in the face of another to be among the most funny spots available in the entire pro wrestling movie database. Sadly, it doesn't always work out for the best. Whether it be the former member of Too Cool wiping his ample the rear and the nose of opponent, poor star being forced to kiss the butt of Vince McMahon, or even Dolph Ziggler electing to pull his trunk to the side so Sheamus can take some ass at Payback. There is no end to this think-face-related hilarity. It seems wrestling enthusiasts who enjoy watching WWE will always have to suffer through the juvenile, comedy-laden moves. Dolph Ziggler vs. Sheamus should be a hard-hitting feud, and the matches have been heavy in some parts. But there is an argument to be made that the think-face gimmick brings everything crashing back down to earth. Should Sheamus, who has been repackaged as a no-nonsense heel, be acting disgusted at ringside when his rival rubs his bum in his beard? Number 7. Austin will interview Heyman. The history between Steve Austin and Paul Heyman is well documented. After Austin had left WCW in less than mutual terms in 1995, he found a place to hang his hat for a while in the original ECW. There Heyman encouraged the wrestler to speak from the heart about what had happened to his career, and in the process, Austin found his legs as a tough-talking mic man. Those infamous shoot interview segments aren't it for the relationship between both men. They had earlier worked together in WCW as part of Heyman's faction, the Dangerous Alliance. In short, they know one another really well, which should make their impending interview on the WWE Network, announced at Payback, all the more interesting. During his appearance on the network, interviewing the likes of Vince McMahon and Triple H, Stone Cold hasn't been scared to ask the tough question. Even though he had a great friendship with Heyman, it's safe to say that come June 1st, there will be some bead of sweat rolling down the former ECW head honcho forehead, and it's something fans are already looking forward to. Number 6. King Bear vs. Neville isn't over. Given the way the match ended on the night, there's every chance that the feud between King Bear and Neville will continue. At Elimination Chamber, there's also good odds that Bear will compete in the Chamber match for the vacant Intercontinental title, but could the high-flying Jody Neville also be featured? Electing to get counted out at Payback, Bear will book to avoid defeat, rather than attempt to defeat his fresher foe. The big question is, where does the story go from here? It's unclear whether it was intentional or not, but while giving Bear a German suplex, Neville broke his royal scepter so that could be used as motivation from the king to keep pursuing Neville. On the flip side, wouldn't it be interesting if Neville were to eventually join forces with Bear, becoming one of his royal subjects? It could allow the man to develop some personality, because it's clear that he's not going to be much of a talker during his first burst on the main roster. Whatever the case, Payback made it clear that there's more mileage left in this rivalry. Number 5. Ryback and Wyatt have surprising chemistry. In a scenario where few could have foreshadowed, both Bray Wyatt and Ryback work really well with one another, being placed third on the card right before John Cena was booked to collide with Rusev in an I Quit match and follow a red-hot 2 out of 3 fall match for the WWE Tag Team titles. Could have proved to be a death spot for both men, but they pulled the proverbial rabbit out of the hat. Going just over 10 minutes, both Ryback and Wyatt have significant chemistry. Surprising given that the feud had been little more than a minor issue on television. Over the past few weeks, Wyatt is simply golden in his role, an out there weirdo, but the credit must also go to Ryback. During his main event run several years ago, the man wasn't really ready for anything other than squashes, but he had improved tenfold. Fans responded in kind at Payback, realizing that both guys were doing their best to create an entertaining match. It surely was that, and even though there's likely little future for the feud, at least WWE knows throwing both men together will result in a solid bout. Number 4. WWE wants fans to forget Triple H and Kane's history. During Payback, announcer Michael Cole noted that Kane had been one of Triple H's most loyal employees, and that the pair had been friends for around 20 years. It was an interesting choice of words because it directly flies in the face of the history between the pair, who most definitely haven't always seen eye to eye on WWE TV. It's understandable that would want to hype up the idea of Kane being fired by the authorities should he fail to help Seth Rollins escape Payback with the WWE World Heavyweight title, but there should be more care when doing so. Do the company really expect longtime fans to have forgotten that Kane and Triple H have feuded more than once? Worse yet, the whole Katie Vick saga has become so infamous that it's impossible to imagine fans over a certain age don't have it burned into their psyche. Let's be honest, Kane and Triple H have been around so long that there's no way they haven't had disagreement. Even newer fans will know that. The authority hadn't been around long enough for the commentators to start claiming that those involved haven't done anything else, especially not Kane. Number 3. First ever tag team elimination chamber match. Putting their fire out somewhere during a backstage promo, Brian Saxton informed the New Day that they would be defending their WWE Tag Team titles in the first ever Tag Team Elimination Chamber match on May 31st. Fans in the arena instantly reacted because this is something that had never been seen before in the company. There's a lot of intrigue surrounding exactly how WWE will decide to play this one out, because it's unclear how it will work. The word of Xavier Wood, who theorized that all three members of the New Day wouldn't be able to fit into one pod, seemed to suggest that all team members would be encased together. The other way it could work is by having different team members in different pods, giving things more of a war game or TNA lethal lockdown feel, whereby one member of each unit enters separately, but that would greatly diminish the amount of tandem who could compete. It's unlikely that the company would install more pods in the chamber solely for this one match, so it seems teams would be crammed in together. Number 2. Kane make alliances clear. One of the big talking points heading into Payback revolved around the idea that Kane would be fired if he didn't help Seth Rollins retain the WWE title. It wasn't exactly the most revealing of storyline, but it did allow for some question over whether or not Rollins would walk out with the title. Would Kane turn babyface, leaving the authority? As it turned out, that didn't happen, and the one-time Big Red Machine interfered numerous times on the champion's behalf, ensuring that the gold would stand firmly around his waist. From the off, there wasn't really any tease that Kane would cost Rollins the belt, which may have been deemed too obvious by WWE. Even so the story isn't necessarily all crystal clear, there's still room for Kane to turn his back on the authority yet. Hopefully the creative team don't try and squeeze a few out of the whole situation, pitting a babyface Kane against Rollins for the title, but stranger things have happened. And number 1, WWE wanted to protect Rusev with finish. The history book would tell that Rusev lost to John Cena in the I Quit match at Payback, but the actual ending tells a different story altogether. Indeed, it seems that WWE didn't much like the idea of either man losing outright, and was saved by someone's bright idea that Lana effectively threw in the towel for her man, costing him the bout. Undoubtedly, this would be a major reason for why Rusev and Lana split on television. Fans seem to dig Lana mainly because she's easy on the eye, but she also deserves credit for her performance to date, showing much more vulnerability than before. Lana had been excellent while Rusev bossed her around. Speaking of the big Bulgarian, the promotion seemed very high on what he had to offer. Some online have compared the dynamic between Rusev and Lana to that of Mark Melrose and Stable. whereby the female outshone the male as the bigger star, but that's not really the case here. Both have something to offer, and Rusev has shown he can work the WWE main event style effectively, so he should be fine even without his woman. Well, that's it, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next one. Peace.